the quadrennial frenzy has broken out in the United States as we approach another election cycle and the prospect of a second term for Donald Trump. It's an incredibly crowded field of Democratic candidates for 2020. The stakes are definitely high, and the memes are flowing. One candidate's social media is doing remarkably well with some millennials. I'm talking about former Alaska Senator Mike Gravel, age 88. He is most well known for reading Daniel Ellsberg's leaked Pentagon papers into the public record.
Somebody released this information. I don't know who. I read the newspapers like the rest of you and watch TV, and they say it's Daniel Ellsberg, and he apparently has confessed. I think he's done a service to this country. He's all alone out there, and I think he's going to have an effect in ending this war.
Nowadays, if you visit Mike Gravel's official Instagram page, you'll see "Shut Up, Centrist" written over an image of the octogenarian Mike Gravel dabbing. Yes, dabbing. All in front of a flaming background. Another meme reads, "You know I had to do it to the DNC." This unlikely campaign started when some politically savvy teenagers, still in high school, reached out to the former senator to start his 2020 bid. Senator Gravel calls them the kids, and their intention is to get enough small donations to elevate Mike Gravel onto the presidential debate stage. Once there, he plans to go after the U.S. empire and what he calls pro-war Democrats. At almost 90, Mike Gravel is so old and his social media game is so fire that we had to ask him if he even knew what the kids were doing with it. Let me ask you something. Do you look at your Instagram page?
No, I don't.
Do you know what a dank meme is?
A dank what?
A dank meme. M-E-M-E. A dank meme.
Is that where you put your elbow in front of your face and you have your arms stretched out?
All right, all jokes aside, Mike Gravel is actually a legend in the fight against empire and the imperial pursuits of the United States. He played a lead role in ending the military draft. He vehemently opposed the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, and he says he's actually against all U.S. military intervention. Mike Gravel is calling for reparations to Black and Indigenous people in this country. He wants all drugs legalized and decriminalized. He wants to denuclearize the United States and bring every single U.S. troop home. Mike Gravel says he would cut the military budget immediately by half, wage war on the military-industrial complex, and take a fierce stance against Israeli militarism and occupation. He says he would immediately lift the sanctions against Venezuela and would recognize, or rather re-recognize, Nicolas Maduro as the legitimate president of Venezuela. Mike Gravel hasn't yet met the threshold to appear in the Democratic primary debates, but he says he believes the kids may actually pull it off. Senator Mike Gravel joins me now. Senator Gravel, welcome to Intercepted.
Thank you for having me.
One of the main tenets of your platform that you're running on is anti-imperialist, anti-interventionist foreign policy. Explain how that would work if you were to win the 2020 election, what a Mike Gravel foreign policy would look like.
Well, first off, I don't think anybody who can win will appreciably change the nature of our foreign policy. It's imperialistic, and it's endorsed and maintained by the military-industrial complex and Wall Street. We have to realize that it's insanity to really pit one human being against another and trying to kill each other. From my point of view, Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard, and to a degree Senator Warren, these are my choices. The others, there's a lot of empty shirts out there that keep saying, oh, we've got to compromise and we're going to bring people together. God, Ted, we went through that scenario with Obama, and I had a sense of that way back when I was involved in the debates.
Understand that this war was lost the day that George Bush invaded Iraq on a fraudulent basis. Understand that. Now, with respect to what's going on in the Congress, I'm really embarrassed. So we passed, and the media is in a frenzy right today with what has been passed. What has been passed? George Bush communicated over a year ago that he would not get out of Iraq until he left office. Do we not believe him?
And I've been fighting the imperialistic policies of our country for 50 years.
And you also ran against Joe Biden that year in 2008, and actually you called him out on the debate stage as well.
Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top tier ones. They made statements. Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should just plain get out. Just plain get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there.
Because he was a really liberal interventionist with respect to Iraq. But here again, Obama set in motion, and it's carried forward right now, what I call the mother of boondoggles. The reason why I call it the mother of boondoggles is you can refurbish the nuclear capability, but you can't use the weapons. Anybody that would unload their nuclear capability on anybody else, you don't even have to retaliate, they would trigger a nuclear winter and we're all going to die. This is insanity. And this is the leadership, the military leadership of our country and the political leadership of our country. And what it is, we're on a suicide pact. There's two things that are going to destroy the planet. One is a nuclear accident or stupidity or immorality, and the other is, of course, the environmental question. Until we can muster the will of not only the United States, but the will of the world to do something about this, we're on a long trajectory of destroying the planet with our consumptive ability.
Senator Gravel, you're talking about climate there. What is your analysis or critique of what is being talked about as the Green New Deal, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others pushing this legislation on Capitol Hill?
Now, what the Green New Deal is, it's a commitment. It's a commitment, a total commitment to do something about the environmental degradation that's going on in our society. And so I applaud her leadership in doing this. It is important. Of the two most things that could destroy our planet, not just our country, we're talking about destroying our planet, it's got to be the environmental problem and the nuclear problem.
Talk about your plan for U.S. military spending and the U.S. military. What would a Commander-in-Chief Mike Gravel do right out of the gates regarding the military and its policies around the world?
I would close all the military bases that we have abroad and transfer them to the United Nations, and at the same time try to bring about a change in the structure of the United Nations, where we do away with the veto power on the Security Council, and that we would arrange that the General Assembly would be on the basis of population, not the way it is right now, where every country gets one person. Two, the next problem is to handle the military-industrial complex. I'm always reminded by the question that was asked of Robert McNamara as he was leaving office. Secretary of Defense, he should know. So he was asked, how much could we cut the defense budget and still not be threatened or be in danger? He said 50%. Now, I'll buy that. What I would do is I would call for a 50% cut in the military-industrial complex, American imperialism, and we don't need all these weapons if we don't have to have all these bases all over the world and these continuous wars that we see taking place in fighting the war on terror.
What conditions would have to be present for you to authorize a U.S. war?
There's no conditions. I was asked in the last, when I ran in 2008.
Same question. Other than Iraq, three most important enemies to the United States.
And the other candidates were mentioning the various people, Russia, China, North Korea. In point of fact,
We have no important enemies. What we need to do is to begin to deal with the rest of the world as equals. And we don't do that. We spend more as a nation on defense than all the rest of the world put together. Who are we afraid of? Who are you afraid of? But, Brian, I'm not. And Iraq has never been a threat to us. We invaded them. I mean, it is unbelievable. The military-industrial complex not only controls our government, lock, stock, and barrel, but they control our culture.
It is absolutely ridiculous to think that there's a threat to us. There is for terror, Now, that's a whole other problem, and we bring that terror onto ourselves by the way we conduct ourselves around the world. Here, just look at the issue of sanctions. Who the hell are we to sanction anybody? Sanctions, like what we're doing right now in Venezuela, those sanctions are going to cost tens of thousands of deaths, primarily children, I might say. And so we do this wantonly and with a level of arrogance. My God, where's the sense of morality in our leadership today and in the past?
How would President Mike Gravel handle the situation right now in Venezuela? Would you continue to recognize Nicolas Maduro as the president, and what would relations be like?
The first thing we do is we continue to recognize Maduro as the president. He is the president. People can quarrel over the elections. Well, hell, we can quarrel over our own elections in that regard. It's up to the people. And so what we've got to do is to turn around and help their economy get healthy. So doing away with the sanctions would be the first step. But we're trying to destroy the economy of their country at arm's length, and we do it through sanctions. The answer to Venezuela is to help them become a viable country. Who cares whether they're socialist or not? So it's not just Venezuela, it's we go around the country thinking in our arrogance that we can displace any government, any leader that doesn't kowtow to our imperialism. And that's got to end. That's got to end, if for no other reason of morality. At least the logic of it is very compulsive.